Welcome to All Things Marketing, a podcast where we talk about marketing from just about every angle, from digital trends and tips to content marketing to measurement, strategies, tactics, and just about everything in between. I'm your host, Bill Threlkeld, and thanks for joining us. I want to talk about the differences in digital PR versus traditional PR. It's easy to get confused when you hear digital PR mentioned in the context of the topic of public relations in general. I'm going to cover a few key points about what digital PR is and isn't, and how it differs from what I would call traditional PR. So how does digital PR differ from traditional PR? Well, historically, traditional PR has been deadline driven. It's focused on media relations outreach based on the speed of getting a pitch or news release out quickly and beating the competition to the pitch angle or story. Traditional PR is often marked by a focus on cold call pitching to editors and writers, and this is known as media relations, and with this element of fast-paced pitching driving the process. Digital PR also recognizes the need for speed, that requirement that news and new product information get into the market as quickly as possible to maintain relevance. But a major difference between digital PR and traditional PR is concept of velocity versus speed. And we all know what speed is when it comes to marketing communications. It's the rate at which a pitch or a press release is able to be distributed. Velocity also incorporates the concept of speed, but with the added component of direction. Velocity is defined as speed in a particular direction, and this is the major difference in digital PR versus traditional PR. Digital PR uses digital tools and services to identify the optimal places for outreach, the direction to go, if you will, as opposed to relying on guesses or perceptions on which direction to go with a pitch. Traditional PR is the style of PR that has been practiced for decades. And typically with a traditional PR approach, a press release announcement is drafted. This press release then gets distributed in one of two primary ways, or both in some cases. The first is via the newswire. Newswire services have been around since the days of newsrooms and editors getting relevant information sent directly to them via a discrete stream known as the newswire. Services such as Business Wire, PR Newswire, Market Wired, and others have cropped up over the years to offer a way to distribute news. With a newswire, you pay to have your press release uploaded, and traditionally that press release would be distributed via a feed to an editor. If the editor or reporter deemed it relevant, it might get picked up and run as news. As the internet became known as a more robust broadcast medium, the newswire gained popularity because the feed was also distributed directly to mainstream news outlets, and this content repurposed in news sections on the online sites. So for instance, if your press release was placed on the newswire, it might also appear in the online version of USA Today or the New York Times or something like that. The benefit of this direct-to-news source distribution approach was short-lived, however. A few years ago, Google decided that news releases distributed via the newswire and picked up by outlets via the internet were no longer deemed credible news sources. So Google's new Hummingbird algorithm no longer indexed news via the newswire, and almost overnight, the benefits of news releases being picked up online disappeared. Even though the newswire's primary benefit as a digital distribution medium dropped with the indexable nature of news releases, newswire services had a business model to maintain, so costs for the newswire remained high while the value dropped significantly, since visibility dropped significantly. Even though the value of the newswire has diminished, many companies still resort to the newswire as part of their PR efforts due to a lack of understanding how to get best news out. So for many, the use of the newswire falls into the category of, it just feels like I'm doing something to help promote my brand, so they continue it. But the reality is there's just very little value in the newswire these days. The second way press releases are distributed in a traditional approach is via blast email. And much like the newswire, this is a shotgun style approach that, in theory, puts the press release in front of a lot of potential influencers. The problem with this approach is that there is a lot of waste in terms of recipients who either have no interest in the release or ignore the email altogether because of the blast distribution approach. Typically, these blast emails are sent to legacy internal PR lists kept in Excel or spreadsheet databases. And the reality is that with the turnover in the media at an all-time high today, these lists become out of date very, very quickly. So much of this distribution effort is wasted also. With regards to results and results measurement, traditional PR placements have typically been quantified by what's known as outputs. This is essentially a listing of places where the coverage has appeared over a given period of time. And in the past, measuring and reporting outputs was better than nothing, especially for clients who wanted to understand and some of the benefit PR was bringing. But digital era has brought in new ways of measuring the return on investment far beyond what outputs offers. And this is something I'm going to cover next. So let's discuss how does digital PR work. As mentioned earlier, the benefit of digital PR versus traditional PR can be examined in the differences between speed and velocity. And also, as mentioned earlier, speed is the rate at which something is able to move. By definition, speed is one-dimensional. It lacks direction. Velocity, by definition, is the rate at which something moves in a particular direction. So velocity is a much better measurement of impact and effort. So digital PR is all about PR moving with speed in the right direction. The right direction means that it's focused on identifying and connecting with influencers that you know already have an interest in the subject being pitched and a history of writing about this topic. So digital PR is based in the process of using digital tools and methods to efficiently identify these current opportunities for coverage. The key word here is efficiently. This ability to identify relevant opportunities in the media, whether that's via roundup, stories, products, or services in your sector, or placement of a press release in a new product section of a leading B2B outlet, it's a primary benefit of digital PR over traditional PR. What's the value of identifying coverage opportunities based on past articles? Well, the answer to this question and digital PR's ability to address it lies with the principle of positioning. By definition, your brand or position in the marketplace has its greatest context with regards to the competitive brands and products in your space. The core principle of positioning is that companies don't position products and services, audiences do. So your position in the competitive market is primarily determined by that of your competitor's place in the competitive landscape. So when an article such as a roundup story showcasing primary products in your category shows up and you're not listed, that is a positioning problem. Digital PR has the ability, through the use of digital tools and services, to identify where this type of coverage is occurring and to address the gaps in those places where your brand or product may not be appearing. For example, let's say your company makes Bluetooth keyboards for use with tablets or iPads, and an article appears on a site like reviewgeek.com that is a roundup story on the best Bluetooth keyboards on the market. And let's say that your product was not included in the roundup story. In a traditional PR environment, there's a good chance that this missed opportunity would just go unnoticed because this type of media digging and uncovering is not part of the range of services traditionally offered by a traditional PR consultant or agency. But a digital PR approach would use a service such as BuzzSumo to scour the media landscape for articles on the subject. And once found, the next step in a digital PR effort would be to locate contact information for the Review Geek writer. Again, in most traditional PR environments, there is not a resource for identifying writers except to do manual searches on Google, which can take a significant amount of time and eat further into the retainer fee the consultant or agency is probably charging. Using a digital PR media database tool like Cision, a digital PR specialist or consultant could access the database and look for a list of writers associated with the outlet. Once a targeted writer is identified, an email pitch and press release can be sent introducing that writer to your Bluetooth keyboard model and brand. In many cases, the writer will appreciate the outreach, creating the possibility for that writer to go back and edit the article to include your product. So this is an example where initially coverage on your product did not appear, but using digital PR tools to identify an opportunity and follow up with outreach resulted in highly valuable PR coverage. And one more important thing to note with this digital PR process. Let's say you pitch the editor via email and after the story was published. Well, now what? In a traditional PR approach, you cross your fingers and hope that the email got opened and the pitch read. You have little to no insight on the editor's interest in the pitch in this case. In a digital PR approach, you would use an email service that had the ability to track email opens on the back end. So you would know if and when the email had been opened. Then these are very valuable insights into the increased awareness opportunities created by the email on that subject. If you know an email has been opened by an editor, this means your follow-up pitch call or email to the editor can be more productive because you have insight into the editor's level of awareness on the subject of the email. Additionally, by using trackable linking services such as Bitly in your press release or email pitches, you can also gauge the level of knowledge or interest that an editor has taken in the pitch subject. So if you see the email has been opened and trackable links have been clicked, it's relatively safe to assume that the editor has taken an interest in the subject, and this opens the door for additional coverage and conversations down the road. Finally, using digital services such as SpyFu or SEMrush, you can analyze key opportunities for increased backlink and SEO keyword content development. One of the primary benefits of digital PR in the web publishing era is the benefit that backlinks bring to a story once it's been published. These backlinks bring greater value to your website in the Google search ecosystem, which means that your successful digital PR efforts are not only driving additional traffic to the website, but increasing value in the Google search ecosystem at the same time. So in summary, whether it's a traditional PR approach or digital PR approach, both are focused on the pure value of what public relations brings to the marketing mix, and that's generating non-paid third-party endorsement coverage of your brand, product, or service. And while traditional PR has worked well for this in the past and continues to have some value in today's content environment, digital PR has emerged as a much more robust and effective way to create and build awareness for your brand or product and help move the needle in a measurable way towards the sales and marketing goals that you've set. Thanks for your time.